Hello, everybody. This is Mr. David coming back at you to do writing lessons for week 2. This week I chose to divide the lessons into reading and writing because both of them had a lot of new things, and I wanted to be able to have enough time to work on them both with you. Next week, I'm kind of thinking I'll probably put them back together into one literacy lesson. But for this week, you want to check this out because this deals with the writing. Had a lot of questions about it in the past weeks, like we're just supposed to write what it's about. No, not really. There were prompts in there you need to follow. So today I'm actually going to follow a prompt and give you an example. So if you're having trouble, you can kind of do part of it with me to help you with that. Let's take a look at the directions. This is the same directions for every week. It says read each article, look over the writing prompts, and choose one. So there's 3. You choose one. You don't have to do all 3. You just pick one. You write a mini essay with a thesis statement and at least 3 details from the article to support your thesis. And you have to restate your thesis in the closing sentence, which is like our Oreo writing. A mini essay is somewhere between 5 and 12 sentences long, somewhere in there. It doesn't have to be long or huge. Use words from the article to help you with your spelling. You can write it on Google Docs if you'd like and share it with me. Every week I will post a turn-in spot on Google Classroom where you can just click and hand in the assignment. You do have to remember to attach the file to your hand-in. Otherwise I'm going to get a blank piece of paper and I'll be writing you back on your email to tell you you need it. Any feedback I give you will appear in your school email. Remember, your school email address is 28, first 3 letters of your first name, first 3 letters of your last name, the @ sign, AFASD, Adams Friendship Area School District.net. And your password is the same password you use to log in. So you already know that. You type it every time you log into your Chromebook. It's the same thing. The way you get onto your email is you go into Chrome, sign in as yourself, make sure you're signed in as your device as you. And then, after that, you just go ahead and click Gmail. The link on there, it'll open right into your box and everything will be right there. Now, if you'd rather do it on paper, that's fine. And when you hand it in, either when we change packets again or if we go back to school, whatever the case may be, you can hand it in at that time. I am absolutely fine with either one of those. But if you want more immediate feedback, like you want me to read it and get back to you, then you're probably going to want to type it and share it with me. Either way works fine, though. All right, so we're going to take a look at what we're doing this week. And we have some really important stuff coming up this week that we're going to need to brush up because coming up in the weeks coming up, my plan is to still finish our report on a region of the United States so we can still do that project we talked about during the year. Even if school doesn't finish in the building, we can probably still get that done. These are some of the skills we're going to need to do that, and so that's why I'm teaching those this week. So the objective this week for our lessons is to take a look at these articles and be able to pick a prompt, support it, and write fluently back and write a convincing piece for whatever prompt you choose. And I'm going to do one this week with you, partially. I'm not going to write the whole thing, but I'm going to show you some of it so that you can see how to set it up. And I'll help you set one up so that if you're having trouble, you can copy this along with me to get it set up. And then you can do another one on your own to show you got it. So the articles we're going to take a look at this week are how to make a rainbow, climate, and we're going to choose 2 word ladder activities. You have 2 done out of the 6. This will be 2 more. We'll get 4 done out of the 6. And then in week 3, you'll finish the 2 you didn't do, and you'll have all 6 done when it comes time to hand them in. So you just pace your work. All right, so what we're going to do today is take a look at these articles. And I'm going to kind of show you how I look at them and some of the frameworks we've talked about. And we will actually do part of a prompt today so you understand how to do it. I'm not going to write the whole thing for you, but I am going to give you a good, solid foundation for you to build on and put your writing in, kind of like we do in class when we're learning something new. Okay, so that's our goal for today's lesson for this week. All right, so our first lesson or article that was mentioned there was this one. How to make a rainbow. Okay. On there are paragraphs. The paragraphs are numbered. Kind of nice if you need to go search for something. You're going to need to have, for materials for this, you're going to need to have some paper to write on. Some of that scrap paper would be perfect out of that packet I gave you. And, of course, you'll need a pencil to write with. Okay. It's real important that we're doing that. I'm going to have a highlighter, too. You can use a pencil to mark on your writing because this is yours to keep. or yours to use and then hand in, you'll get it back. Or you could use a highlighter, or if you happen to have a marker at home, a light colored marker or a crayon or a colored pencil, that works great too for highlighting. You just underline instead of going over the top. A yellow marker actually works just like a highlighter, and you can do that too. And I think I've mentioned that before. So what we're going to do now is take a look at this piece, and then we're going to look at the prompts and then prepare to do one of these. And that's going to be the help for you to help you do this. So let's have a look. It says to read the passage below. All right, let's do that. I'll read to you today. How to make a rainbow. Paragraph 1 here is where I'm starting. When a rainy day suddenly turns sunny, a colorful rainbow may appear in the sky and brighten everyone's spirits. Since rainbows only appear when the weather is just right, however, they can't be seen very often. Luckily, it's possible to make an indoor rainbow that can be seen at any time. There are several ways to make an indoor rainbow, but the best methods involve using water and light. These two methods are called the water glass method and the flashlight method. The water glass method must be done on a day when the sun is out. To begin, find a clear water glass, a bucket, a towel, a small table, and a sheet of paper. Once these supplies have been gathered, it's time to start making rainbows. First, find a window that the sun is shining through. Make sure that both the inside and outside of the windows can be easily reached. Next, put a small table in front of the inside of the window, fill the glass with water, and place the glass on the table. Once that's done, put a sheet of paper down on the floor in front of the table. The paper can be any light color, but white works best. Now it's time to head outside. Fill up a bucket with hot water and carefully use a towel to wet the outside of the window. Finally, head back inside and simply adjust the paper. When the sunlight is shining through the window and the water glass hits the paper just right, a rainbow will appear. Wow. That sounds like a good, cool science experiment you could do at home. We have windows, and you probably have water and things like that. That's pretty easy stuff to find. Okay, so let's go on to the next part. We're almost done here. Here's a diagram even explaining what you're supposed to do. Oh, that's kind of cool, but let's finish reading. To make a rainbow on a cloudy day or at night, use the flashlight method. To do so, find a water glass, a flashlight, a piece of paper, scissors, and some tape. First, fold the paper in half and carefully use a pair of scissors to cut a little triangle out of its middle. Next, unfold the paper, tape the paper to the flashlight so the light will shine through the hole. Once the flashlight is ready, fill the glass with water. Finally, turn on the flashlight and point it straight down at the top of the water glass. As soon as the flashlight lights up the water, a rainbow will appear. So it's kind of the same thing, just two different ways to do it. Now, you don't actually have to do this. If you want to, try it, go right ahead, but that's not part of the assignment for this. And here's a diagram like I mentioned. All right, so here we get to the writing part. There are 3 prompts. There's an opinion argument prompt. Imagine you're going to make an indoor rainbow. Would you rather use the water glass method or the flashlight method? Support your opinion with reasons from the text. Basically, which one would you rather do and why? This one is informative or explanatory prompt. Compare and contrast the water glass method to the flashlight method. Explain how they are alike and different using details from the text. And the final one is a narrative prompt. Write a story in which a character makes an indoor rainbow. Be sure to tell how the character makes the rainbow and how he or she feels when it appears, including details from the text. These are the 3 prompts that some of you have been asking about, like what am I supposed to write about? These are the 3 prompts. You choose one of these prompts. After you choose one of those prompts, that's what you're going to write about. The other 2 you don't need to do. Okay, so for my example, I'm going to choose the informative explanatory prompt. And there's 2 reasons I'm choosing it. One, I like writing like this, so that's something I enjoy doing. So that might be a reason you choose it. The other reason is this will give you some skills if we do the writing project with the national parks later, because this is what you're going to be doing. So I have kind of 2 reasons for choosing this one over the other ones. They're all good, but that's the one I like the best. Okay, so we are going to need to compare and contrast the water glass method and the flashlight method. Well, to know all that, I'm going to need the text. Now that I know what I'm doing, I'm going to want to go back with my highlighter and find the stuff that's going to support my comparing and contrasting of the 2 methods. Okay? So I remember that paragraph 3 right here is about the water glass method. Whoops, my highlighter. There we go. The water glass method. There it is. Okay, and I see that comes all the way down to here. So I'm going to draw a little line like that. So I remember that that is the water glass method. So when I'm comparing that to the other method, which was the flashlight method. Oh, right here, flashlight method. It's in paragraph 6. And it comes all the way down to here, and this shows that method. Now I kind of have what I want to compare and contrast. It makes it kind of easy. Now we learned a way to compare and contrast in class that we're pretty good at. And it was a big deal because I was kind of kidding you and talking about, can you remember the name of it? And we all couldn't remember the name of it. Well, there's a diagram that does this really well. So I'm going to get a blank piece of paper, and I'm going to get this out of the way. You can still look at your document if you want. You know, you have it in your hand there. And we're going to make a circle. And we're going to make another circle. And we've made a special kind of diagram. Does anybody out there in the world remember what this diagram is called? If you said a Venn diagram, good for you. You've now remembered that, and that's really important. This is a diagram that gets used a lot for comparing and contrasting things. When I'm writing, it's a great way to set up my writing because this shows one thing I might know, this shows another thing I know about, and then right here is things they have in common, and things that are completely separate from both go on the outside. So we were told we needed to compare and contrast two methods of making a rainbow in this thing. There was a water glass method. So I'm going to write water glass here so I have it above. And the other one was called the flashlight method. Okay, perfect. Now, I'm going to compare those two. Now, since I only have to write a mini essay, I don't have to come up with tons of stuff. I probably only need like, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 things in each one, and I'm going to have enough to write a great comparison contrast piece, and everything will be laid out right here. So, let's get started. First of all, I think the easiest thing to do is we know that both of these involve things that are the same. I'm remembering that from my writing by looking back. I know they both make rainbows. Okay, there's one thing. I also know that both of these, besides making rainbows, they use water. Okay, I know that. And the third one is that they all need light. They don't work without light. One's produced by a flashlight, one by the sun, but they both need light. Well, there, I have 3 ways that they're the same right there. Now let's figure out some ways that they are different. Now, we could write the obvious stuff. Uses a glass of water. Uses a flashlight. Yeah, that's good. That's all right. It would be true, but let's go a little deeper than that. Because when we're actually researching something, we don't want to just, that's pretty obvious stuff. Because I wouldn't even have to have read the article to have figured that out. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my text. I'm going to take a look at the water glass method and find something that is very unique to that. As I look through it, I see here, when I'm looking at it, I need to use, well, the sun. That's one thing. It uses the sun. Yep. Let's see, as I keep going here. Has a lot of other things. Oh, you have to go outside. That's something. I keep looking here, and it looks like you're going to be putting water on a window. There's a lot of things here that look like they go with this method. So let's write down a few of those things. So as I look here, it needs me to use a window. Okay, notice how it dashes to show my different thoughts. You have to go outside to do it. And most importantly, it uses the sun. That's really important. Okay, well there's 3 things, and I said 3 would probably be enough. You could add more if you wanted, that's fine. Now I'm just turning the page, and I'm going to be looking at this, the flashlight method. Okay, and I'm going to be looking at that and finding out what is needed for this that's different. Well, I see here that, first of all, this light source is a flashlight. Now, I said that's kind of a weird thing to write, just to write it uses a flashlight. But if we put flashlight, and maybe we could put as a light source, it makes it more clear that we actually didn't just look at the title. We kind of have a clue of what we're talking about. Okay, as I look here, I'm going to see that you have to make a triangle hole. That was one of the things it said you had to do to make that happen. And it also looks like to do this one, you can stay inside. You don't need to go outside to do this one. Okay, so there. So that kind of prepares my writing. This is the preparation right here for my writing. Kind of tells me what's the same, that's here, and what's different here. And it gives me an idea of what to write. Now, if I use this, I can turn this into a writing piece very easily. And I'm going to demonstrate some of it. I'm not writing the whole thing for you, like I said. I want you to do this, but I'm going to give you a start. So I grabbed a notebook that has paper, kind of like the paper you're going to be using, except yours is loose leaf. Mine's a notebook, but still paper. So the very first thing we need is a title. And I think an apt title for this would be Flashlight versus Water Method. And I could do rainbows, I could do something. Okay, so there's my title. Now I'm going to start off by explaining what I'm going to do. So you're going to say, I am going to compare the two methods for doing what? Making a rainbow. Notice how I indented there. Don't draw this arrow. I'm just putting it there so you can see it. You got to indent your thought to show you're starting here. Now I would go into comparing and contrasting them. I could start off with the ways they're the same, okay, or the ways they're different. Now I said compare, which means the ways that they're the same. So I might say something like, they both use a light source and water. That's one way they're the same. I could keep going on. Now, after I get done with a couple sentences here about ways they're the same, I'd probably want to start another paragraph down here in my mini essay to say, here is how they, and now we're contrasting, so I might want to say, here's how they differ, here's how they're different, here's how they contrast, whatever you want to say, just so you know, you understand here that this is the differences. Now, when I go with these differences, I'm going to go ahead and start looking for things that are different. I look at right here on my Venn diagram. I got my first paragraph from this stuff, right? Okay. My second paragraph is going to come from these. Like one you can go outside, one you stay inside. That's an easy one to write, so let's put that down as an example. For one, comma, because I want to pause there, you must go outside. And I could even say what method that is. For the other, you stay inside. Okay? So I could go on, I'd write a couple more sentences using those details from that Venn diagram to add that up. So I'm going to have about 3 or 4 sentences here, probably 3 or 4 sentences here. This would be a great short mini essay on how to do it once it's finished. Of course, somewhere on here you're going to need your name, and it'd probably be good for me if you also put the date on here that you did it, just so I can kind of keep track of what order you did everything in. So this is the way that we would go about writing a essay and following one of these writing prompts. Now let me just quickly go over real fast the other article just to show you some of the things with that, and then I think you'll have a pretty good idea of what to do. You can always forward or review through this video to determine something you need help with, and you can always ask for help by messaging me or joining office hours like we've talked about, or whatever you would need to do to get this figured out. So today I'm going to show you the other one. This is the climate article. Now this one's a little different. Not bad though. It just shows different kinds of climates. Tropical climate, moderate climate, and then it's humid subtropical climate. Big words in here. This one's going to take a while to read. Marine west coast climate. You might even want to have someone help read this to you in some of the spots. continental climate, humid continental climate, subarctic climate, polar climate, tundra climate, ice cap climate, and then dry climates like arid and semi-arid. Arid means dry. It kind of tells you that there. Now, what you're going to do with this one when you're done is you're going to, again, be presented with 3 prompts. First one says, which climate do you think would be the best place to live? Support your opinion with details from the text. That'd be kind of a fun one because some people, people like different kinds of weather. We had our thing where we voted on our favorite seasons, I remember, and I mean, we were pretty divvied up in that the way we thought. So this would be a fun one to do. I think that one wouldn't even be that hard. You could find a lot of information there. You could pick 2 or pick 1, your favorite, and explain why it's your favorite. This one, explain a humid continental climate is different from a subarctic climate. Use details from the text to support your explanation. For this one, you're going to want a highlighter. You're going to want to go back and find humid continental climate in your text and find subarctic climate in your text and then compare them. Oh, didn't we just learn about comparing? We did. Remember the Venn diagram? That might be handy there. All right, and in the final one, it says in the narrative prompt, imagine you're someone who lives in an area with a tundra climate. Write a story about what you did one day in the winter. Use details from the text as well as your own ideas. And that would be fun if you're a story writer, where some of you are very good at that. It's okay if you pick the same prompt for both. You don't have to do different prompts. I'd suggest maybe doing different ones just to practice your different writing skills. But you could do that. I mean, if your parents might say, hey, do one for all 3. That's absolutely fine with me because that'd be actually really good practice. Okay, so here are the writing prompts here, and you can see them. And different days, you'll probably do different ones to see. But you'll see here how they all work. You just pick one of these, and you work from there. So when you're done with that, you'll be going on to your... Sorry, there we go. Onto your word ladder activities. And when you have those three things done, you're done for this week. Next week, we'll talk about meeting Kimberly and from Daniel in the big sky. Hey, Daniel, you're famous. And we'll finish the final 2 word activities, word ladder activities. You'll do those independently, and I'll check those for you. All right? So that's our writing lesson for this week. Sorry, it's kind of long. Like I said, that's why I split it into 2 things. Next week will be more of a literacy lesson where we integrate them, but there was a lot of new stuff, and I wanted to help answer some questions that I've been getting the best I could. So hopefully that helps you out, and happy writing, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye.